What is up, everybody? As you can see, I'm not alone. I have a special guest with me, and this is Faithless. She is from the Discord chat of Power Word Fell in the Homebrew. She is an amazing person. She's a talented artist. She is the spectacular Faithless. And you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Faithless. I got into D&D like 2 years ago. I'm still really new. I've not even played an actual game with people. It's just been me and my husband. But as I got into it, I found the homebrew and I fell in love with their first one. And then I heard Power Word Fail, and much like Miles here, I fell in love with all of the characters. So thought I just want to come have some fun and talk about the show.
So yeah, and you're an artist. So are you taking any commissions right now? Where can the people find you?
Um, I'm actually not taking commissions. I'm not that confident yet, as you know this, but almost on every platform, I'm faithless, and it's spelled Fae, like an actual Fae, much like what Ferric. But no, I'm sadly not taking commissions. I'm not that good.
Okay, that's fine. Don't listen to her. She's an excellent artist, and if she ever does take a commission, you will be excited and ecstatic about her work. All right, so if let's get started here. So much like the we have the introductions. We're on episode God, this one's hard. 20 27. We're on episode 27, and the intro starts, and everybody's like super sad, much because of their dreams that they had. Carlos does a good job of spinning the dreams, and just kind of Carlos does a good job of making everybody sad. And this is the first episode that we do math with Carlos. I love math with Carlos. If you ever want to learn how to count, you ever want to learn how to do basic algebra, math with Carlos. He may not give you the correct answer.
May or may not.
All right. Something about a good recap is like amazing because man, sometimes you listen to an episode and you just don't have like good clarification on things, and then when somebody comes back with a good recap, you're like, oh, that's what happened, and that's it. Kind of picks up on things. There was a lot of things that I kind of missed in the last episode, and the recap like straightened that out. But the episode starts. The team wakes up, and Adalia realizes that the team was involved in her sister's death. She goes off on a walk. Immediately, just walks out of the room. She she doesn't storm off. She tells everybody like she just needs a breath, a break. Kind of just walks off. She does say she'll be back, and will they still be here? So not too impulsive on her, and I appreciate that because we're still a team here. We're still playing a group game, but the team is kind of confused about who she's talking about. I think they bring up the Crystalborn that they killed outside of the road. They're like, was that her sister? And that was my immediate thought from listening to this too. It's like, man, was that her sister? But they in the dream you see that the dragon, I'm guessing Pharaoh, you see her sister in the rubble. Ferric, of course, runs after Adalia. The rest of the team tries to figure out what they are going to do. Ambrose asks Vilvanis to supply them with more knowledge about how they can stop not Vilvar, Zeos. And then they get into like this big discussion about like what they're going to do and how they're going to stop Zeos. Pickles thinks persuasion is the best way to deal with the situation. Just ask them to leave nicely.
Is it persuasion
Vilvanis
or
is.
it's not really persuasion, it's more she suggested going and sneaking up and stabbing him because they're disguised.
I think she did that later because at first I want
Oh,
to say that she did was like, why don't we just ask them to leave? Like,
oh
I don't
yeah,
know,
maybe
just
that
Pickles
is
being
right.
silly. Um, Vilvanis is a really good host. Like he crumpets, tea, free alcohol. Like I don't know
Croissants.
why he's being so croissants, not crumpets. I don't know why he's being so nice, but I definitely. I mean, good crumpets are hard to find. Um, I'm expecting like a bill at the end of this. Like he's just like, hey, you guys owe me.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a bill. You know there has to be
Um,
somewhere.
and I think this was more into like what you were getting into. This is kind of like when the team goes a little haywires with their ideas because you leave Pickles, Ambrose, and Mirage alone and just say, "Hey, come up with some ideas of how to stop Zeos." You're
Look,
about to get you're in for a ride.
look, this is kind of where I started falling in love with Miraz and Ambrose actually because they get along really well right now. It's like two teenage boys coming up with a Home Alone scheme and tell me I'm wrong.
You are not wrong. I
It is Home Alone.
First up, Pickles proposes that they go to Northwatch while Zeos is in Mornstead and take over Northwatch. And I was like, come on. I think it's a lot more work than what she was expecting. Um, we find out right here that Miraz is indebted to gnomes for some odd reason. It's kind of vague about that, but he proposes that they get explosives from these gnomes and hide them around the city so they can blow up Zeos when he comes in. But then Ambrose points out that they don't know his mode of travel. If he's teleporting, is he's going by carriage? Is he bringing his army? And this is where you were talking about. Pickles proposed just a simple assassination. Just go up and stab him.
Oh yeah. I was a little ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Um, Ambrose doesn't believe in Pickles and Miraz's plan. He's just like, come on, guys. And right as he says that, there's a knock at the door, and of course, Pickles opens the door immediately. Then we cut over to Ferric and Adalia. Um, she heads towards the jewelry shop that she was at before, where she was, I think, wasn't she getting a necklace made for her sister or something?
No, she was getting the earring filled with the water.
The earring for Spunk.
Yeah.
Was it? Because I felt like she was getting something else too, but yeah, yeah, it was the earring for Spunk. She collects the items and she had made, and the shopkeeper overcharges her, and she's just like, whatever, I just want to get out of here. Um, Adalia cuts into an alleyway and she starts to cast magic, and Ferric follows her into this alleyway. And Ferric walks up to her and they start talking. Um, she tells Ferric that she's the new hero's light, and the hero's light came to her, and she knows how her sister died, and she's just kind of like talking to Ferric. And she casts Skywrite, and in this big letters across the sky, she has genocide in Northwatch, Busant complicit, Zale's monsters murdered Evangeline Abernathy, and it could be seen for 6 miles around. And my first initial thought for this, I was just like, yo, like, what is she doing? Like, no, they're back at the Vilvanises making a plan, and then Adalia just cast this Skywrite and was like, this is the plan.
You know, this whole scene is one of my favorites from Katie. I don't know why, but I think I've listened to this episode 6 times now, not to get ready for this or anything, but I've cried every time because I can hear it in her voice. The hurt that her and Austin both do. Oh, it's painful.
Man, there is like she does such a good job of like being emotional and playing that role play between them and like with her, and then that music in the background just sets the scene. So like Cody does a good job of finding the music. Um, Carlos does like a great job of setting the scene, and then uh, Ferric and Adalia just do a good job of role playing together. Like you do feel the power from that scene. That
Yeah.
is a really good scene. But she casts Skyrite, and this big message is in the sky, and it can be seen from like 6 miles. Ferric says that they need to get out of there immediately. She's kind of started like a upstir the people. Some people are just like wizards. Some people are like, oh man, like what do we do? And then we cut back to Team One. The door opens, and Christopher is at the door for his lovely night that he had. Um, of course they mess with him because they all look different. They all are different people. I'm not going to say their names or anything, but because that's a lot to remember. But they're just like,
No,
who is this boy and why are they at our house?
the only thing you need to remember about them messing with him is Ambrose and his Giga Chad moment. That's the only thing.
Giga Chad.
That was the best part. And then Pickles, of course, trying to confuse him even more by saying she's actually Miraz, and Miraz is her.
Man, when somebody said how much money you got, I lost it. I was
That was
like, yo, are they about to
Pickles.
rob him?
That was Pickles, and it fits perfectly.
But yeah, they continue to mess with him, and then they end up pulling him into the house, and then they explain what's going on. Um, Christopher is still confused. Carlos does such a good job of playing a confused little boy. Um, Ambrose thinks making a bomb would work, and it should be a specific bomb to whatever Zeos is. And I think this was going back to like Miraz and Ambrose doing these half cock schemes, and it's just like he was so dead set on this bomb. He was like, "Let's make a bomb." Like, dude, Ambrose, what? Come on, man.
I told you, put two boys in a room. What's gonna happen?
Christopher tells them of the skyrite, and everybody is immediately pissed. Like that has to be Adalia. Nobody but Adalia did that. Um, Ambrose goes right back. He's like, guys, focus. Highly pressurized holy water. It's a bomb. We can do it. Christopher doesn't like the bomb idea. And sometimes it's real hard to be like, is this the DM kind of leading me to the right direction? Or is this the DM actually playing a good role playing character?
I think it was a little bit of both. I don't want to say my full
Um,
opinion because it happens later on, and it kind of, I don't want to get too far ahead. So
yeah. But Christopher does love the stabbing idea. He was like, why don't we just walk up and stab him? Pickles is like, yes. Ambrose has a point. Um, there's no way that like this big bad guy Zeos and like him bringing his army and like there's no way that they can just walk up and stab him or like his or Ambrose could hide on a rooftop and shoot him. Like he's just too powerful for that. It's probably going to be a long drawn out fight. And of course like D&D, the big bad boss shows up, and then some guy on top of the building just snipes him, and it was like, well, you killed the boss. That
can't be
is
that
very
easy.
anticlimactic. Uh, Miraz, of course, agrees with Adalia about what she did and how she's going about doing anything. Because, I mean, I, I want to be mad at Adalia for what she did, but I think somebody eventually says, it's better than just standing around with no plan. Like taking action is better than not taking action. So she did do something while they were sitting back conversating. But I am mad that like she didn't talk to nobody. She just did what she did. And Vilvanus thinks taking Zeos to court is the best idea. Ambrose thinks he is just dumb. Like of course, like this rich guy thinks that just suing Zeos would work. Um. Oh, let me scroll down. Man, I overwrote notes this session. Probably because I knew I had a guest coming.
But you don't worry about
Uh,
it.
Back to Adalia and Ferric. A seller calls for them, and he wants to sell them a love basket. And Carlos, man, he pushed this relationship to its limit. He was like, "I'm gonna get some PCs to date if it's the last thing I do."
Carlos introduced pure romance into D&D, and not gonna lie, I'm not mad at it.
You know, I'm not mad at it. But I will stand behind player on player romance is never a good idea. Um, but I mean, it is a podcast, and they are role players, so it might go better than an actual like session with your friends playing D&D, and then you're dating or hooking up. But just at a regular table, don't date your players. If you're on a podcast, go for it. It might make for a good story. Um, Apparently, Ferric already has kinky things. He has a pound of flour, 5 candles, and 2 sets of monocles.
Again,
Now,
and all you asked about the flower.
my question is, since Ferric is a bard, like I mean, we haven't seen him hook up with anybody. We've seen people flirt with him. Did he already have this stuff, or did he buy this stuff recently?
That is a good question. When did he get all that?
So,
I'm saying he
yeah,
had this
yeah.
before all of that.
Like I said, he is a bard, so like maybe he was getting it in, and he was like, "Man, I need some freaky stuff." Uh, but yeah, Adalia does ask him about that flower, and he's just like, "I heard you give flowers to somebody." It's a very cute, innocent moment. They head back to Velvanus' shop, and we get a well-placed ad from Dapple to Maple. And I usually don't like ads, but give me any Dapple to Maple, and I'm there for it. How much money do you want me to spend, Dapple?
Yes.
I love
Dapple is
him.
amazing. He can make me spend money all day.
uh they get back in the middle of the bomb talk. Ambrose is explaining how the bomb would be the best thing ever to work. Ambrose gives Adalia the mind sharpener crown. I don't know. Did they explain why he did that, or did he just like, this belongs to you? Because he just put it on her head.
I don't remember if they explained why he gave it to her at that present moment. Like, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah. Because
giving
I
it
know
to
it
her.
comes up later, but I was just kind of like, is that like a piece of gear he owed her? Was because at first I thought he was trying to make a joke at her. It was like, since you're so smart, here's the mind sharpener crown if you want to like screw us or whatever. But he just
Maybe
something
he
he
was
did.
maybe he was giving it to her in preparation for something else.
Yeah, yeah. No one is mad at Adalia, but Pickles. She is pissed. She was like, "We are a group, and you come talk to us first before you do any major decisions." Um, and even after that, they continue to talk about what to do. We learn about Adalia's parents. We get a little bit of her backstory. I think we got some of it in a dream. I said in the past episode that Adalia's parents were hung from a wall, but we find out that Adalia's parents tried to make a bomb themselves, and they failed. It didn't work out for them. And her mom was like a great artificer, and her dad was like a great bomb maker. So if they couldn't do it, no way that this team can do it in like 2 days.
And that's
So
actually how she was born or created.
yeah, good point, good catch. So I wonder how crystal borns are born. Like, so is it not just two parents, a mommy crystal born and a daddy crystal born?
Oh, let's not have the
Bump
birth
rocks
movies.
or um. But so that is kind of weird. I want to know a little bit more lore about the crystal borns and how they're created. Cause she like well, I think one episode she was instantly born of existence. Like she was intelligent. She was self aware. Wasn't like no baby stuff.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. Do they ever say how old Adalia is?
I don't think so. They just say what she looks like.
Yeah,
Like
because she could be
around the
like
age
3 years
of
old if that's the case.
could be.
Yeah. We do find out that Zeos isn't a traditional vampire. Ferric talks about turning an animal into Christopher because they bring up the face sculptor and they're like, well, maybe we can turn someone into something into Christopher. And since Zeos wants Christopher so bad, and then he brings up maybe we can do a horse, and I think that was secretly how Ferric was planning to get rid of Strudel.
Yeah. He does not like strudel.
Carlos does a great job of keeping them on track sometimes, because sometimes they'll get distracted, and then Carlos will just snap them back into D&D mode like a good DM should do. Um, Christopher says they should go to the Queen and talk to the Queen. They talk about ideas on how to get to the Queen. Adalia makes a really good point that going to the Queen is kind of sketchy because, I mean, she's from she's from Northwatch, and Zales was in control of Northwatch, and he was the ruler of Northwatch. So why would she believe going to the Queen would fix anything? Um, so I think they explained this earlier, but I might be a little unaware of like the situation, but the Queen of Mornstead is the ruler of the kingdom. Like she's the ruler of like the United States, where Zeos is probably like the governor of Alabama.
Yeah, but he's also appointed or appointed by her.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was the
So
thing.
so if they did go to the Queen and they did, she would have the authority to be like remove him from power, throw him in prison, because she's the ruler of everything, and he's just the ruler of that one area.
But I get where Dahlia is coming from because she's sitting there saying the queen's the one that put him in charge. Why would she believe us?
Yeah, yeah. Um, it is a slippery, tricky rope slope. So I don't know. Because I could see where Christopher's coming from. Like, let's just go talk to the Queen. That's a good thing if she's a good queen. If she's a good queen. Um, Adalia makes a good point. Like she said, talk being sketchy. Ambrose thinking going to talk to Evangeline's dad will help them talk to the queen. He thinks that talking to Cornelius Abernathy, because he's like a nobleman, and he could probably get them in to talk to the queen. Uh, so that was a good idea. But Ambrose does not like Evangeline's dad at all. And we do like there is a callback that Zeos was working with, or he was waiting for a reply from Cornelius. So there is like the suspicion of, is he working with Zeos? Did Zeos promise him something? So that is there, but I mean, his monsters did kill Evangeline. So no matter how evil you are, like your daughter, is your daughter. Um, Adalia casts Skyrite again. Zeos arrives in 2 days. Crystalborn and Religious Faithful hide. Um, and then Spunkles is doing something weird. Velvanis comes downstairs and says, "Hey, your pet dragon is upstairs doing something weird." and they go upstairs to check on him, and he is passing, throwing up, kind of much like a cat or like a dog with something stuck in his throat, passing two blue stones. See, I
Yeah,
always thought
yeah.
it was one blue stone.
I there's a
It,
little confusion there because in that episode it says two
but
or
later
probably
on in future episodes, they make it seem like they only have one.
yeah.
Okay. So there are two blue stones. So and then
I
when
would like
somebody
to
picks up the rock,
I would like to point out that at this point in time, Ferric does bring up a good point. Everybody sits there and says he's disgusting for, doing the same thing Spunkles is doing.
I don't know. Something about downing a slug pie, just deep throating it, is just kind of like, Ferric.
No, no, I agree, but I don't think he takes into consideration Spunkles is still a baby.
Yeah, definitely. Babies can get away with anything, and then a baby animal, it's the cuteness is multiplied by 10 when it's a baby animal.
I don't know.
Um,
Ferric's kind of
so
cute. He's a big
oh man.
Albert.
Um, I think Ferric had a term for women like you.
Hello.
But yeah, so Spunkle threw up these two blue rocks. And I always thought like they were like huge, like it was a huge rock. But I mean Spunkles is tiny, so it can't be anything bigger than him unless he's laying like eggs or whatever. But anyway, someone picks up the rock and they can hear Spunkles in their head. Uh Apparently Spunkles is not a dragon, and we have to wait until next time to find out what he is. And that is how the episode ends, on another cliffhanger. Carlos loves his cliffhangers so much. So that was the entire episode we reviewed. What do you think about that episode?
This was probably one of my favorite earlier episodes. There's a lot of good player interaction, a lot of good role play. Not to mention, you have Spunkles. He's adorable. Kind of feel bad for him though.
I do agree. This is probably one of my favorite top ranked episodes, because just the emotion from Adalia, the feedback from Ferric, the music in the background from that scene when she cast Skywrite, it was just amazing. I got like chills and goosebumps. Very powerhouse moment. Even though I didn't agree with her decision, like as the character, not the character, not Katie role playing, but
I actually agree with it, but it's because I understand where she's coming from. She's seen all of her people murdered. Then she finds out or she
yeah,
wakes up to believe that her sister is dead if her dreams are true. So she's just really emotional and it's raw emotion. She just went with her
yeah,
gut instinct.
yeah. And that's why I'm excited to have you on. There's so much to gain from different points of view. So but yeah, I mean, I'm very much of let's go talk to the team and figure out what we do. Um, Being impulsive can get people killed, as we've learned before.
I'm not saying she was right. I agree with it. I do think she should have talked to the team, but I get where she's coming from because I'm sorry if it would have been my sister, I probably would have done the same thing. But I will
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that, like I said, I'm still new to D&D. I didn't even know Skywrite was a spell, so that part is what really got me.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I think a couple of people like have been playing D&D. Like I think Pickles Andy has been playing D&D for like 2 or 3 years at that point. So, everybody's learning. Everybody's there's many times I have an app that has all the spells on it and I'm like, what does that spell do? Let me look that up real quick.
I
But
had to do the
we
same.
we uh we had a lot of information thrown at us today. The team tried to figure out what to do about Zeos. We had an emotional scene with Adalia. We learned some backstory about her. Um, Ferric and Adalia's relationship. Maybe that's blossoming into something. Um, We're trying to figure out a plan to stop Zeos. Let me see. Then we got the thing with Spunkles, and we've alerted the city with Zeos incoming, whether they believe them or not. Um, so if you had to score this episode 1 out of 10, where would you score this episode?
Me personally, I would
Yeah.
say probably an 8 or 9, just due to roleplay purely because you have, like you said, you have the Adalia scene with Varric and it's really emotional, but you also have the Home Alone scene where let's make bombs. Come on,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to blow things
I
up in D&D?
I love that scene because Ambrose was focused on that bomb. He's like, "Let's make a bomb, guys. You're not listening to me. Bomb."
This man
Um,
had a one-track mind and it was blowing everything up.
I will say, since I've done a couple of these, we haven't seen combat in a minute, but I know we're about to get into some big combat with Zeos coming in. So this wasn't a combat episode. But we did get a lot of information. We got a lot of good role play. The music was great. Carlos did a good job. I will definitely have to give this episode a 9 hit dice out of 10. It was such a powerful episode. So I don't mind that there was no combat, because combat episodes are usually like that episode is going to be about combat. But it's been a minute, and I'm ready to see some fighting. So I know that's coming though. But 9 hit dice out of 10, such a good episode. You have anything else you want to say?
No, that about covers it. Like you said, just a great episode from great people.
Yep, yep. Uh, of course, if you're not watching Power Word Fail or listening, well, they did have their live show now. So if you're not watching it, go watch it. If you're not listening to it, go listen to it. This has been Faithless. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
If she might be coming back on Mondays. If you guys want to see her back, if you guys like her joining, maybe she'll come back every Monday. Maybe she won't. We'll see. Maybe we can get somebody on from the show and we can talk about. But I doubt that because they have don't they have the Patreon Power Word Chill?
Yeah, they still have that.
So so who knows?
know,
High
though.
hopes. Yeah, yeah. Who knows? But as always, ladies and gentlemen, you are loved, you are important, and you matter. Thanks for tuning in to Miles TV. Bye.